Hello there ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Midpoint Defence episode of Tips and Tactics. On the front line of the battle, fighting tooth and nail to gain those extra vital points, Midpoint Defence is the holy grail of tournament PvP. You'll be fighting off multiple opponents while simultaneously keeping yourself and your allies alive. Holding this point is your top priority and every second counts. In this episode we're first going to take a look at what goes into a Midpoint Defence build, some tips for controlling a point in general, and then some map specifics. So first we're going to take a look at some of the qualities of a good midpoint defender build so you can create your own with the profession of your choice. Survivability. Build as if you'll never want to die. High health, high toughness and good healing all to come together in a midpoint build. Secondly, support. While keeping yourself alive is important, anything you can do to provide support and boons to your teammates should be a priority. Shouts are great at this, as well as ground based abilities that provide boons to your team. Speaking of boons, high uptime on protection and regeneration provide great damage mitigation. Knockbacks and CC can be important on certain maps, and stun breakers and stability are important on all of them. Different maps will require slight changes to the build, but I'll talk more about that a little bit later. All this leaves you with a build with high personal survivability, which also provides support to your team. High boon uptime and some solid CC and CC mitigation are really needed. Now for the basics of midpoint defence. Firstly, you want to win the opening battle. It's much easier to defend than it is to attack a point. Secondly, support and survive. These are your two goals. Everything else like controlling the point, kills, map control, etc. all come as a result of those two tactics. Midpoint battles are often team fights with 3 or more players from each team fighting at a time. This means you need good communication. Call out targets and try to judge the other team fast. Knowing who are their DPS and who are their tanks quickly can really help. Your teammates should be built to kill, so make sure they take out their DPS first. Pay attention to your surroundings and use your abilities for the good of your team, not just yourself. For example, if you have a stability shout on you and you see a teammate going for a finisher, use it to buff him so he can finish it, even if you don't need the buff at that time. Get up in their grill. Your opponents will be trying to focus down your teammates first, so make that damn hard for them. Play a character that's big and get right up in front of them. Block their attacks, lay down some CC, force them to focus on you. Don't put yourself in a bad position. Don't run off the point unless it's totally safe to, as you never know when a CC chain might be coming. Stay calm. More than any other role in structured PvP, you really need to stay focused and relaxed. If you start getting annoyed, you'll end up going for kills, and that's not your job. Just be satisfied that if you're doing your job right, they are raging at their screens. If you lose the point, hit back hard with support. It's much easier to defend than take a midpoint, so recap that point with your roamers quickly. Team organisation really matters here. 1v1s will happen and neither of you will be able to kill each other. In this situation, if you control the point, just play counter to what he does. He knocks you back, you knock him back. Don't lose control of the point. If you don't have control, your job will be really hard and really take a roamer along with you to aid in taking the point back quickly, as you won't be able to do it solo against any competent player. Every map has its own challenges. These come from both the secondary objectives and the terrain around the point. On Niflhel you'll be at the keep, and there are 2 ledges at the back from which you may be attacked from range, but there's no way to get up to. You can line of sight people on the ledges by running up really close to it, which will often stop them. However, you can also force them down to you, either a pull ability or a well angled range knockback. The area around the capture points is fairly level, and there are some small line of sight opportunities around the pillars and the ledges, but none are particularly effective. Team fights will generally be 2v2 on this map, so you have someone who complements your build well to support you. If you're a power based build, have someone with some condition damage in there. Rangers I find work very effectively with Guardians and things like that. Just play about with what works best for your team. Below I linked a video to Tips and Tactics episode looking at the keep in detail, and we'll have an episode looking at all different control points in Season 2 early in the new year. The Legacy of the Foe Fire has a very unusual central point. It's very large with ledges all around the outside. Team fights are really common on this map because of its layout, and as a result survive and support are the most important parts of your build, but be aware that the AoE and your support skills won't cover the entire control point. Finishers and revives are also vital here, so stability boons and perhaps even the runes of mercy in your armour can be very important. AoE is less effective on this map as it's possible to step out the damage without stepping out of the point. It's also possible to outrange someone who's shooting at you from a ledge without stepping off the area. Dodge often and freely on this point, as you will be unlikely to step out the control point at any time. As always with team fights, communication is really important on this map, especially as it's not uncommon for teams to use Mesmer portals to jump around and bring some real critical mass to point very quickly. AoE CC abilities can be a big part of this map and can stop people from getting good focus fire if you can lay down lots of them. Lastly, Kylo, probably the toughest point to control on any map. The control of this point really comes down to who's winning the trebuchet battles, but outside of that there are a few things you can take in your build. Knockbacks can be really effective to knock players off towards the bottom of the staircase, giving you enough time to neutralise or maybe even cap the point. Stability of course counters this as well as the trebuchet knockback, but do be aware that trebuchet will still really hurt, so you want to try to dodge the shots if you can. Protection uptime will help, as 33% less damage off the trebuchet and your enemy is a huge amount, so try to keep that up as often as possible. Team fights are fairly unlikely on this map because you do have so many players committed outside of roles. You've got someone trying to kill their trebuchet, someone using your trebuchet, etc. They're very unlikely, so it's generally just 1v1 with the trebuchet supporting. Next week we'll be taking a look at roaming with a strategy analysis of a roaming build on Monday, followed by another episode of Tips and Tactics, this time next Wednesday. I hope you've all enjoyed the episode. Any feedback, as always, is wanted in the comments below. Thank you all very much.